The road to the White House runs through Wisconsin today. Republicans at a crossroads as voters go to the polls in that crucial primary state. Could shake up the race, really, for the GOP nomination. What happens tonight as we welcome everybody to hour 2 now of America's Newsroom. I'm Martha McCall.
And I'm Bill Hemmer. Every time we have these, that takes the story in a different direction. So what direction will we be tomorrow? A new turning point with Ted Cruz, Donald Trump in a tight battle for Wisconsin. 42 delegates up for grabs in the Republican race, 86 for the Democrats. The Republican rivals all sounding optimistic about today and about tonight.
If we do well here, folks, it's over. If we don't win here, it's not over. But wouldn't you like to take the credit in Wisconsin for ending it?
Just a few weeks ago, the media was all saying Wisconsin was a perfect state for Donald Trump to win, was not a good state for me to compete in. What we are seeing happening in Wisconsin is the unity of the Republican Party manifesting.
We're going to continue to do. I'm not going to be a pincushion. I'm not going to be a marshmallow.
Team Fox coverage Michael Warren on why both frontrunners are looking over their shoulders, and John Roberts on the ground in Milwaukee as voters head to the polls as we speak. John, let's start there. And good morning. What are you seeing?
Bill, good morning to you. You know, Donald Trump made the rounds this morning, still optimistic that he might be able to pull out a win here in Wisconsin. The polls going into the final few hours here showed, you know, he mixed chances of what he might do. Some had him up, but more had him down probably. But if he does lose the state of Wisconsin, it won't be for lack of trying. He spent the last 3 days crisscrossing the state, talking to folks here about jobs and the economy, issues that are very important to them, bringing out his wife Melania for a couple of events last night, trying to fix the problem he has with Republican women voters, and also lamenting that John Kasich's continued presence in the race is taking votes from him, to which the Ohio governor basically said, oh, boo-hoo.
He's 1-30. He ought to get the hell out, honestly.
Listen, here's the situation. The reason why Trump said Kasich needs to get out, I mean, think about what this guy said. He said he needs to get out because he's getting my votes, and I want to have my votes. This is not fair.
Trump told a rally in La Crosse that we were at yesterday, look, he doesn't care if John Kasich tries to contest the convention and win there, but he shouldn't play in Statesville, where Trump says Kasich got no chance.
So Cruz gained on Trump in that state. The closing days of this polling suggest that Trump is closing on Cruz. I don't know. You tell us on a state that some believe should have been pretty good for Donald Trump.
Yeah, so what's Cruz doing right in the Badger State? Well, part of it is what Donald Trump is doing wrong. I mean, he shot himself in the foot so many times, it was a wonder he could even walk around in the last couple of weeks. Secondly, Ted Cruz has got a big operation here, including the support of Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker. And at every opportunity, he's also been painting Donald Trump as not a real conservative. Listen to the perspective he gave last night during Megyn Kelly's town hall meeting as to why Trump delayed in denouncing that support from former KKK leader David Duke. Listen.
Listen, that's a liberal who thinks, well, gosh, conservatives don't want me to denounce the Klan. Now, listen, anyone that's actually a conservative is perfectly happy saying the Klan is evil, it is bigoted, it is wrong, it has no place in society. And if you're speaking from core convictions, you know that because you're speaking from the heart.
Cruz also believes that could be applied to the abortion question as well, that Trump's initial answer as to whether or not women should be prosecuted for having an abortion was what he thought conservatives wanted to hear, not really what he thought. Donald Trump continues to his presence here in Wisconsin this morning. He showed up at the diner this morning where Fox and Friends was broadcasting from, visiting folks just outside a polling station at a fire station this morning. But then he's heading back to New York, and this is really interesting, Bill. He's not going out tonight, which typically for a candidate, not to say that Donald Trump couldn't change his mind, but typically for a candidate, that's an indication they do not expect to do well in election day.
Interesting. Bill? We will watch that anecdote. Thank you. John Roberts there on the ground in Milwaukee. Thanks, Martha.
Let's get more on this. Michael Warren is staff writer for the Weekly Standard. Michael, good morning. Good to have you with us this morning.
Morning.
I want to start by taking a look at John Roberts just talked about some of the things that have been perceived as missteps from Donald Trump that may have helped to shift his numbers there. Here's what he said about Scott Walker.
Walker has not done a great job. He has not done a good job. And by the way, he's been okay. You're average. I hate to say it. You look around your surrounding states. You know what you are? Average. You're not average people, right?
Did that help or hurt him? Or do we know? We don't know yet for sure, but what do you think?
I think it did hurt Donald Trump. I mean, that's a line that probably worked in every other state that Donald Trump has won in or competed very well in, but not Wisconsin. Conservatives, Republicans, they like Scott Walker. They've defended Scott Walker now through 3 elections, not just the election, the re-election, but the recall election against Democrats. And so to hear Donald Trump sort of repeating Democratic talking points in Wisconsin, I think was a big misstep, and is what John Roberts was talking about with Trump shooting himself in the foot. That really hurt Trump. On top of all the other things, I think, going against Donald Trump in Wisconsin.
Well, the Trump people think that they're going to do better than people expect in Wisconsin tonight. And when you look at the Quinnipiac poll, and this is not a Wisconsin poll, this is a more general poll, so we can take a look at it on a primary election day. Quinnipiac poll says 57% of voters agree that America has lost its identity. 57% of voters say this statement: I am falling further and further behind economically. And the last one, 62% of voters agree that their beliefs are under attack. And when you look at GOP voters and Trump supporters, those numbers are skyrocketed even higher than the ones that I just showed you at home. How much of an impact? Those are really stunning statements, Michael.
Yeah, absolutely. And in places where Donald Trump is doing well, you see more people who have those views. Again, to go back to Wisconsin today, Wisconsin's a different state than a lot of these other states that Donald Trump has won. It's got less income inequality, so that economic anxiety that you just talked about in that national poll isn't really felt in Wisconsin. It's a little more educated population than the average population in the country, and again, that's a better place for a non-Trump candidate to do. But you bring up a very good point that this is where the country is right now, and if voters are convinced that Donald Trump is the answer to those problems, then maybe he's got a better chance in November than we think. I don't think a lot of Americans view him that way. They view him as a personality and as a candidate much more negatively than maybe they view the things that he's saying or the things that he's willing to say. Yeah. And that's ultimately going to be a problem if he does win the nomination. So
apparently, as we just heard, he's heading back to New York tonight. Hillary Clinton is doing the same. What does that tell you about the Clinton campaign in Wisconsin?
I mean, the polls don't look great for Hillary Clinton. It's probably going to be another Bernie Sanders win, but I do think it's a little different than it is for Donald Trump. If Donald Trump loses Wisconsin here, his chance of winning on that first ballot in Cleveland at the Republican National Convention, I think, is really damaged. Clinton doesn't really have that problem. She's a weak front runner. She's got all kinds of problems that Bernie Sanders is exploiting. But ultimately, the math doesn't really work for Bernie Sanders getting to that majority of delegates so that he can win in the Democratic National Convention. Clinton is going to lose, most likely in Wisconsin. Maybe we'll have another Michigan surprise and she'll win. But ultimately, I think her lock on the nomination doesn't really change much after tonight.
All right. Michael, thanks so much. We'll see you later.
Thanks, Martha.
So stay with Fox. We will have it all for you in Wisconsin, and we will have special live coverage when the polls close later. Brett and Megan will be here at 8:50 Eastern Time. So we'll have coverage all throughout the day, but we'll have results later tonight, and then we'll see. We'll see after that.
See what happens. Like you said, we could see another Michigan surprise for Hillary in Wisconsin tonight. And as we said, the Trump people are looking at that ARG poll, which shows him 10 points ahead in Wisconsin. And certainly, anecdotally, the people at the diner were all behind him this morning on Fox and Friends. So we'll see. It's going to be an interesting night.
Got it.